I'm going to go over my loadout for my first veteran run. So let's get into it. So the first weapon we have, this Gauss gun I just got. I didn't really like it that much. There are some pros and cons to the Gauss gun. If you can reliably get ammo for it, which you can kind of do in endgame, it can be decent. But I do feel like it's not really that much better than the M701, which also can have a shotgun attached to it. And the M701, like, they both one-shot headshot the things you want them to. Maybe this is slightly better against, like, certain mutants, like the pseudo-giants. But really, pseudo-giants are going to be ammo sponges anyways. So if you need a lot of ammo, all these other things are going to do that better. So let's get this Gauss gun out of here, but just wanted to show that I did run it a bit. Alright, so for shotguns, the first shotgun that I used in my playthrough was the M860 Cracker, and I had a different one. I used Monolith until I got the one that has a clip. I did find the upgrade for the clip, but like the blueprint, but by the time I found that blueprint, I ended up getting this, so why pay to upgrade something when you can have it for free? So I just started running this for a while. I felt that it fell off. Look at the range stat. The range stat on the M860 fully upgraded is just not good enough to justify running full time. I know some people say, oh, it's a shotgun. You shouldn't use a shotgun at range. But in real life, slugs can accurately shoot at 100 yards. And slugs do not really lose velocity. Like, they're reliable. You can reliably kill like a deer with slugs. And in STALKER 1, I feel like slugs were effective at further ranges. Now, some of these shotguns can carry slugs much farther, but the M860, I feel like, falls off because its range is very limited, and in middle and endgame, especially in endgame, a lot of the fights are like mid to long range, occasionally being at close range, so this weapon just kind of loses its luster, but for the early to middle game, it's perfectly fine. You could still use this at endgame if you just use it only at close range, but I would argue the Rhino just completely destroys it. But this was my first, actually, technically my second shotgun, because I sold the other one, the Monolith, that was upgraded. Then I switched to the Sledgehammer / Spaz, or SPSA, I don't know why I call it the Spaz. But this thing, a little bit better, the range stat's higher, so you can accurately headshot with slugs further out. It's also a really good mutant killer, so typically what I would do is I would have this as my primary weapon, and this would be for dealing with mutants, or for when this needed to reload and I wanted to just quick switch to weapons. Or quick switch without reloading. So this was really good, really reliable. I used this for like most of the game. And then eventually I did switch to the Texan. Before the Texan, I was running a Ram 2. Now I know in the tier list video I got the mechanics of the Ram wrong. It's basically like a pump shotgun that reloads 2 at a time, so I apologize for that. In future videos I will not make that mistake. But I do find it to be pretty decent. Obviously the Saiga is better, we'll get into that in a second, but I did switch to this long term just to test it out. Between the two of them, I do like that it reloads 2 shells at a time, so I consider it kind of similar to the SPSA. The pump action, you can shoot 2 shots and then it pumps pretty quickly, so even if you're using it to fight mutants, it's really not bad. I would say it's like similar to the SPSA, it's like trade-offs, but I do think the Saiga is better than both of those. Now, I didn't really run this Saiga too much in particular, but it has really good upgrades. You can upgrade its range, it reloads an entire magazine. It's basically better than both of these. It does belong in S tier, so I did get that wrong in my tier list. Alright, so for other weapons, I do think the M701 belongs in S tier. The shotgun attachment can be found from the scientist barterer, or the scientist merchant in Malachite, and she sells it for 10k, which is really not that expensive. The interesting thing about it is it doesn't use weapon durability. So to use it, you just have to switch firing modes. I'm sorry, firing modes. You have to hold it for like a second. There it goes. You switch firing modes. My game's lagging right now. You can see like some pop in over there. Sometimes it lags in Pripyat, but now this is only really good at like this range. If you want a one-shot headshot, you can one-shot headshots heavy armors if you're really close, but you really only want to be using this at this range. It gives you mutant fighting capabilities. My HUD disappeared there. You can reload an entire magazine. You get 4 shells, but what you typically do is you shoot down to 1 and then reload, so you get 5. And you can kill Bloodsucker with 4 to 5 clean headshots. So if a Bloodsucker gets in your face, as long as you're accurate, you can actually kill it, but I was a little bit inaccurate there. You can see it doesn't reduce your durability, which makes it overpowered as hell, because in Stalker, one of the biggest costs for, like one of the biggest expenses for playing the game and maintaining your equipment is repair costs. So the fact that this shotgun, as far as I know, does not jam and it does not reduce durability, just makes it broken. Now, they might change it so it does reduce durability. I don't know that it should or shouldn't. Like, I think in keeping it in line with the game, it should, but like, I feel like the durability thing is kind of an annoying thing in the game. I don't think that it's so difficult that you can't manage. Like, especially in endgame, you get a bunch of good drops that sell for a lot, so you can easily repair your stuff, even if the repair costs are insane. We'll go over the bread armor in a second. Probably wondering, what the hell is this? And you'll find out soon. But the fact that it doesn't reduce durability, like, it also kind of makes sense it doesn't reduce durability, because it's a separate weapon system attached to your gun. And it's also really not that good, so I feel like in terms of balance, it's really not overpowered, because this thing, you can't upgrade the hole maker, and it can't use alternate ammo, it's only limited to buckshot, so it's only really good at, like, fighting, you know, like, the cat mutants, bloodsuckers, panic, oh my god, I don't have time to reload, but switching to it is almost, like, similar to reloading. Like, here's how long it takes to switch to it. You also have to hold it in, so I'm gonna let you, alright, so I'm holding it in now. That's how long it takes to switch. So it's almost similar to a reload, but it does have a faster fire rate. Oops, that's the wrong. Yeah. It does have a fast fire rate, but you really only want to use it at point blank anyways. Alright, so now we have to talk about the M71, or M701 Super, and why this is good. Alright, so let me switch ammo types. So, one of the nice things about this weapon is that the upgrades are all optional, and most of them just decrease aim down speed, so you can aim faster and get quick headshots. The nice thing about this is its scope is insanely good and easy to use. And also, it doesn't sway much. And when it does sway, it's kind of slow. One thing to note about the weapons in Stalker, and they might patch this in the future, when you ADS, look at how the scope doesn't move for like a short period of time. And then it starts moving. That's true of most weapons, but I think of this weapon, it doesn't move for longer, and then when it does start moving, it like moves in like slow, long, almost like controllable movements. So like if I need to line up a headshot, it's really not that bad. So it's a really nice, accurate weapon. Now compare that to my Rhino. You still can line it up, but I think it sways a little bit more because it's not as sturdy. Because it is, you know, it's a handgun, so it's being held without this like two supports. If you've ever shot like a rifle versus a handgun, it is easier to like stabilize a rifle because you have two like points of stability, and it also is being pushed up against your shoulder like the stock is. But this can one-shot headshot monolith soldiers, like heavily armored monolith soldiers, heavily armored anything soldiers. It can actually do a ton of damage to mutants on headshot. You can no-scope to like headshot things, and it's really good. It's pretty much just always good. Actually, one thing I did want to test really quick is the no-scope accuracy. Let's shoot at this corner here. Let me get my laser, or my dot back. Let's shoot right there. Alright, so there's your no-scope accuracy. So it has some bloom. So it's probably accurate, like, around here. Yeah, it's, like, relatively accurate. I usually no-scope at, like, this range, to be honest, but you should probably quick-scope anyways. But typically I'll no-scope headshot like something point blank in my face like here, which you're gonna land that shot. So, but you can quick-scope and it's 100% accurate. But one-shot headshots with basic ammo, which is important because specialty ammo burns through durability faster. And if you're running a weapon that requires specialty ammo, that means it's burning through the weapon's durability, and it's also going to be harder to find specialty ammo. Now, there are stores that sell like armor penetration ammo, like exclusively, but it is more expensive and it does burn through. Like, it's more expensive in terms of getting it because it's harder to get. It's more expensive in terms of repair costs, and it's more expensive in terms of like the ammo cost itself. And so like you might have to use guides to travel to certain stores, like specific stores, whereas like for some of these weapons, typically endgame stores just sell it. So like the basic 308 rounds are pretty common in endgame. So you can easily buy them or find them off of enemies. Whereas if you're running normal rounds, for most guns you're fine because most enemies will drop normal rounds. But if your gun requires AP rounds to one-shot headshot, it's going to be a little bit harder to get those rounds. So this thing just kind of outshines most other weapons in that regard. Alright, and then the shotgun attachment's obviously really good. The zoom level's really good. You can get a suppressor for it. It's a specific drop that is on an M1 or a Mark 1, and I think it's in this building. You have to kill a guy on like the 3rd floor, and you can remove the sniper silencer and throw it on either your own Mark 1 or you can throw it on an M701. Let's go over the Rhino and why I think this is the best pistol in the game. If I click on a head, I want to kill. Like if I see an enemy and I shoot them, I want them to die. So the Rhino does that at every range. This thing is like a sniper. It's like literally like a handheld sniper rifle. There's no downside to it. Its ammo is common and cheap. You can one-shot headshot with base ammo. Just look at these stats. It almost has max damage. It almost has max penetration. Like it's almost 4 damage. It's a little bit above 3 penetration. Rate of fire is decent. Reloads the entire clip. Range is really good. Accuracy is really good. If you want, you can throw this scope on it. This is the only scope that I think it accepts. You can also remove that scope, and it has really good irons that are easy to use. So if you want a one-shot headshot at like close to medium reliably, it's just a really good gun. It has everything you want. It also has 4 ammo types. It has armor piercing. It has the expansive ammo, and then I think it has flat shooting ammo. I could be wrong about the flat shooting one, but it definitely has expansive. I think that's what this one is. That's armor piercing. Alright, yeah, okay, it does have flat. So yeah, so flat, expansive, regular. So this is just more armor piercing. But like if you run armor piercing against mutants that are tanky or against anything, like you don't even need the armor piercing because like it one-shot headshots with regular. One of the key themes for when I was placing some of these weapons was how reliably they one-shot headshot based on like stats. So like a lot of the shotguns can reliably do that. So that's why I was running shotguns with slugs for the most part. Alright, let's talk about bread armor. What the hell is bread armor? I killed an NPC during the Malachite fights, and it dropped this. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, at first I thought it was like a consumable. Like, oh, this is like bread. And then I looked at it, I'm like, what the hell? This is like the best armor. Dude, it's better than diamond exoskeleton that you get from the one bunker that everyone uses that box exploit for. It only has 2 artifact slots, and it cannot be upgraded. Alright, let's go over the upgrades that I had for my first run. Alright, so on my M701 Super, this is all I got in this tree. I ended up not really caring about certain things like this, like blueprints. Now, would this have helped me? Slightly, honestly. Like bullet range, 15%, or bullet velocity. Bullet range is a little bit better based on the stats here. But bullet range and then armor piercing would have been good. I could have looked up where to find these, but you honestly don't need it, and it's like potentially a waste of money. It's really not too expensive for endgame costs, but I just didn't really felt like I need it. I could have added the flash suppressor. Personally, I don't like how these look, so it's really just a cosmetic thing. I don't feel like this weapon needs a recoil decrease, and I'm not really sure what a spread decrease does on this. Maybe it improves hipfire accuracy, but yeah, I would rather have the suppressor also. There is a suppressor for this weapon. I went over that in like earlier in the video. For the other upgrades, aiming speed is nice. Wear and tear. Weight reduction is also fine, but I opted for wear and tear. You can also get another aiming speed with a blueprint, or you can get aiming accuracy, which I don't think matters because it's already super accurate. And then, of course, the laser is good because it gives you a little bit more aiming speed. It gives you spread decrease, but like I said before, I don't really know what that helps with on a sniper. Maybe it's hipfire's accuracy. Breath holding is really good. Comfortable head position enables the shooter to hold breath for longer. This is good. Aiming speed is good. These don't require a blueprint. And then readiness is nice because it allows you to switch to the weapon slightly faster. Readiness is generally a good stat on all your weapons for that reason. But those are all the upgrades I ran. There's also moving while aiming if you want. Now that's an either or. You either get the rebalance stock or the ergonomic. I think aiming speed's better. Moving while aiming with this doesn't matter because you're just not going to be aiming while moving too much. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be peeking angles while scoped, holding angles while scoped, or just zooming in on enemies after popping up from cover and headshotting them. So moving with this while aiming, you could run this. It's really up to you. It's up to your preference. For the Texan, I didn't really touch it, but I think it came with all these upgrades: readiness, recoil decrease. It came with weight reduction, this spread decrease. It had these on it already: tactical foregrip, laser. Then it also had the flash suppressor. So if you find the Texan, it's pretty good. It's just in the it's in Pripyat, so I could show you. I guess I could show you where Texan is.
Let's see what else you can.
It's literally in the end of the game though, so spoiler warning, I guess. But it's in this area, abandoned science campus. There is a pseudo giant, and you find it in here. But what you can do is grab it and probably just run away, because pseudo giants are just ammo sponges. They're not even really hard to fight. All right, and then for other weapons. For the model competitor, I got it the weight reduction, the aiming speed, readiness, aiming while moving. You could run this, but I think aiming speed is just a better stat. Aiming faster, like I don't need to be more mobile with pinpoint headshot weapon, because moving can kind of mess up your aim anyways. So I'd rather be like mostly stationary or moving slowly. You can change its caliber to, I think, shotgun caliber, which unless it completely changes how big the gun is, that makes no sense at all, because 12 gauge shells are huge. But I haven't run this. I don't know that you should, because look at the accuracy and range changes. I don't think you should do this. It seems like a really bad idea, but I've heard of people doing this. Aiming accuracy, I don't think it needs this. I didn't need it. Look, its accuracy is already maxed out based on the numbers. So
I can fix it.
all right, let me go back. All right, and then for the barrel, we have the bullet velocity, reduced damage drop off, armor penetration, and then the laser for a little bit more aiming speed. So that's what I ran. And then for my armor, I can't upgrade this armor because this is NPC armor. The armor still degrades, you can throw 2 artifacts on it, but obviously for armor upgrades, you should probably do something. For Skiff's pistol, you can upgrade it to max. There's like just 3 basic upgrades, you know, armor penetration, bullet velocity, and then weight reduction. Some people really like this thing and swear by it. I think it's okay. Apparently with armor piercing rounds, people have found it to be pretty good on veteran mode. I would still rather just run this every time. I would rather run this. It's just way better, one-shots everything with basic ammo. But yeah, that's the upgrades. Alright, and then my quote-unquote artifact build. And I don't think artifacts matter. Well, alright, let me rephrase that. Artifacts are useful, objectively. If you get good artifacts that like reduce weight by a bunch and give you physical protection and give you endurance, give you all these things, they help you a lot. And if you go artifact hunting for specific artifacts, it will make the game a lot easier. But frankly, I would go large periods of time where I'd unequip these because of the lightning things that like gravitate towards you when you have artifacts equipped. And I literally just ran a basic weight increase one with a basic radiation protection to counteract this. That's all I use because I ran bread armor the whole time. The bread armor does decrease as it gets damaged and needs repaired, but it has no upgrade tree. So that's like the big issue. If you were to run, like, if you find bread armor, there's pros and cons to it. One of the big cons is it's 2 artifact slots. One of the big pros is it has really good base stats. And you can see here, this is NPC armor. NPC heavy exoskeleton sparks. This is literally spark armor. I think I accidentally killed a spark NPC when I was on their side, which caused Scar to be mad at me temporarily until I left and came back, and actually like broke a quest for like a minute, for like an hour really. And they dropped this when I killed that NPC. So this was actually pretty crazy. And it has Psi Protection 3, which is a wild at base, and it cannot be upgraded. So like if you're going to be upgrading some endgame armor. Also, the weird thing about this is an exoskeleton, but I can sprint. And that's like one of the things. I think there's upgrades that allow you to sprint with exoskeletons. So like you could just pay for that, but yeah, the bread armor was weird. I literally just ran these. My general thing was healing item, bandage, energy item, food, and that did fine. And then I had like primary weapon, panic weapon, secondary for like dueling. That's my loadout for my first run. So what are some mistakes that I made? I upgraded I upgraded starter armor a lot, which cost me a lot of money, so I wasted a lot of money on that. I upgraded starter weapons a lot, which wasted a lot of money. What else did I do that was stupid? I ran some bad weapons. Like, I actually bought the TOZ from Hamster for 4,000. And then I upgraded it. Like, I made a lot of mistakes in my first run. But once you get to, like the beginning of endgame, you can start making money easily just by killing enemies. So, it's not... If you wasted a lot of money on stuff, you can always do artifact farming. You can basically quick travel using guides to, like, a location and then just, like, collect a bunch of artifacts and then sell them. And then also the nice thing about artifact hunting is you can get crazy rare artifacts that make your build really good. So they just make the game easier if that's what you're after. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. If you found this interesting and useful, definitely like and subscribe. And feel free to comment your... builds that you ran on your first veteran run. I am always curious to see what people run and why. If you have any like interesting builds or loadouts or especially like artifact combos, I'm always open to reading about those, and I will respond to them because I do check the comments. So yeah, thanks for checking this out. Peace.